Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. We're finally to the 6 month long march through this Slipknot discography. And we have finally landed on the last one, released in 2019, on their album called We Are Not Your Kind. But first, I'm remiss to not introduce my fellow travelers on this journey in the Reverend Ben Lindsay, the Murder Basement Gabe Cooper, and the Dr. David Pizzo. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen?
Feeling like that poor unfortunate soul in this album cover.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if I'm like robbing a liquor store or being murdered, or maybe both. Maybe it's
both.
Dada. Yeah, it's probably both.
While performing sadomasochistic sex and robbing the liquor store and getting murdered. Yeah,
100%.
All the above.
All the above.
As it should be. As Tracy said, this is their sixth studio album, released on August 9th of 2019. It was recorded in East West Studios in Hollywood, California for Roadrunner Records. The producers were Greg Fiddleman and Slipknot. It had a runtime of 63 minutes and 29 seconds. The band: number 8, Corey Taylor, lead and backing vocals. Number 7, Mick Thompson on guitars. Number 4, Jim Root on guitars. Number 6, Sean Clown Crahan, custom precision, backing vocals. He did the art direction and the photography. Number 3, Chris Fain, percussion and backing vocals on All Out Live. Number 0, Sid Wilson on turntables and keyboards. Number 5, Craig 133 Jones, samples, MIDI, and keyboards. Alessandro Venturella on bass, piano, and synthesizer. And Jay Weinberg on drums. The additional musicians for this album were the Angel City Choral Group and Cat Premu, both of whom provided backing vocals at various points on the album.
Can I note just for one moment that Corey Taylor insisted he wanted this to live on as anybody dropped out, which I believe, and that could happen. But it's interesting they're retiring their jerseys. Right? Like their numbers are vanishing as they OD or dive past ODs or life finally crushes them. So I guess if it keeps going on long enough, it's like the ship where every part gets replaced, or the car. All the numbers will be gone.
Or that maybe they're like, all right, here's number 9, 10, 23.
If you return, do you get your number back? Like if Joey Belladonna rejoins Slipknot 6 times, does
I think so.
Until we discover reanimation, I don't think we'll know. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no one's left this band from not being dead, I guess, so far. That's ominous. Well, it's 2020, y'all. I think they're working on another album right now.
Yeah, they've got 3
shortly.
I heard on one of the Sirius XM channels, probably Octane, yesterday, that they only have 3 songs left to finish before they can release the new album.
I mean, what else are they going to do during this time period? It's not like they're touring.
Collapse.
They were touring, and then they weren't, and then they were again, and then they weren't, getting COVID, like everybody. So
I feel like a lot of things are going, and now they're not again.
Yeah, I think we're going to be right back in it. We'll see. We're also sort of over it now. I don't know. That's a different podcast, though. Oh my God, why is it still like this?
Yeah, me and Gabe were talking about that and had rosy opinions of it before we started recording.
I'm sure you're both very optimistic at the dignity with which we'll all handle this.
You know how shiny and happy of a person I am, David, so you can imagine that I had nothing but roses and rainbows to think about this.
Yeah, 100%.
But did you think Roses and Rainbows of this album did?
No, I thought it was the worst one. They have progressively gotten worse from album to album.
I don't dislike it as much as you do. But for me, sound-wise, this album falls in between Chapter 5 and All Hope Is Gone. Like, it falls sonically in between those two, I think, in my opinion. It's missing the anger that they were dealing with, losing the 2 members in their previous album. And it kind of goes back to its more poppier sensibilities at the album prior to the 5th one had in it. And I know when this album came out, a lot of people were raving over it. And I feel like it's a similar situation as to when we're seeing it with a lot of end-of-year lists for Iron Maiden this year, Deftones last year, Judas Priest in 2018, of like these bands that haven't released an album in a long time, that have been mainstays in the genre that I feel like they're just giving them a high ranking because they released an album that wasn't total fucking garbage.
Dude, we're brand whores in this country, and this is an example of that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a following, and I guess I never fully got on the ride, as those of you who have listened to us discuss all their albums have probably figured out by now. They do have stuff that I like. I think they're all talented musicians. But the band sounded a lot different to Tracy's point. And I think, again, that goes back to when we were talking about the last album, the changeovers in the rhythm section. Not that the guys can't play, it just doesn't sound the same. And I will give them credit on a sixth album for a career spanning as long as they have had. Not that 6 albums is a lot necessarily, but that they attempted to do more stuff here. There were a lot of bleeps and bloops and incorporation of electronic elements on this album. And I give them credit for trying it. It didn't move the needle for me.
I guess I could jump in and say, like, I don't have the history with this band that some of y'all do, but I was not impressed with this one, even compared to Great Chapter or All Hope Is Gone. It just didn't strike me as all that new or original for them, even though it's a completely new record with a little bit of new personnel. I was also looking for something a bit heavier. I feel like I'm saying that like a broken record on this, but since Iowa, it just doesn't really come back in such full force. That said, there were some songs on here that I could get into, but they were few and far between.
I got on the ride in 1998 or 9, whenever it started, and I stayed on it. And I didn't like Iowa as much as Gabe, and I really, like Tracy, liked Volume 3 and All Hope Is Gone. And I didn't really like Gray Chapter. It was a thing that existed. I listened to it a couple of times. I just didn't go back to it. So when this came out, I was pumped. I'm like, okay, this is happening. So I got it, as it was released by Amazon, essentially. I think it's better than 5, to me anyway. I do think it's poppy-ish, but that didn't bother me when they went in that direction on those 2 albums, whereas I think it was pretty offensive to half the roster here. So I think it's fine. The personnel changes didn't change that much. And I do agree with you. A lot of that percussiveness is sort of drifted, but that already happened on Gray. I think one of the reasons I view this the way I do is probably because the Gray album preceded it and not All Hope Is Gone. If All Hope Is Gone had preceded it, I'd probably feel about it the way I feel about the Gray album. I'm like, oh man, it just, but I agree with Gabe. There's some kick-ass songs on here, and I guess I'm that brand loyalty that Van warned you about a little bit, as you all know from other reviews. I'm the brand guy a little bit. I'm just a slut for pop. I'm sorry. So I think this album is super extremely okay. I think 60% of the time this album works every time.
Yeah,
This is what I'm trying to say.
Super extremely okay.
Fairly extremely okay.
I would have put that on the back jacket on one of those little stickers back in the day. Super extremely okay.
This album is fine-ish, I suppose.
I want to say I think my comparison might have been came across harsher than it was. Like I think it's a decent album overall, but I don't think it was end of the year, album of the year worthy. Like it was good enough.
Yeah, I feel that way about Senjutsu. That's what we're going to hear soon. It is, I want to remind our viewers how we got here, preferable to the odyssey of Iced Earth that we were going to go on, and I don't care what you all say. I know some
only
of you
because they were insurrectionists.
I would
rather listen to Iced Earth than this.
I would have hated it even without the insurrection. As you know, I was not a huge fan. And I think I'm part of why this disaster happened, Ben. Like, this is the thing where Tracy and I were like, dude, those albums we both like and no one else does? Like Volume 3 and All Hope Is Gone. That's that period in metal you didn't like very much, Ben. And I think I was more forgiving, I guess, of that sort of, what is that, 2005 to 2015. I don't know when that window is, maybe a little bit earlier.
Well, it seems like that thread for him really started early late 90s and some of that post new metal stuff.
Around 2004 through the end of the 10 or the aughts, I guess. So
sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Slipknot does have some good songs. I know I said on the last album review that I never considered myself a big fan of theirs, and I didn't. And actually,
you still don't.
And I still don't, as a matter of fact. And I don't know. I will add a small caveat to this. that to me, this album sounded tired. And I don't know if that was the album or if that was me listening to it.
Dude, I'm tired. So maybe that's why I
Yeah.
listened to this.
I
I'm
think
like,
it was-
yeah, that's about where I'm at, everyone. Like my knees busted. I'm sick. It's been a time, as you all know. So I feel like I have about as much energy as this album has. So maybe it was a little bit like
Mhm.
Hush and Grim. I'm like, this is the right album for a shitty time. The right shitty album for the right shitty moment.
Actually, the Extremely Fine Okay record for an Extremely Fine Okay time.
Extremely fine okay.
Correction.
The finest time
Indeed.
that's ever fine.
Indeed, Gabe.
I will say in the rhythm section, I think though, just as kind of, I think it is improvement off the last one. I think they kind of do get their groove back together. I think I kind of gel a little bit better on this album than they did on the previous one.
I think that this is one of those albums that if you are super invested in the band, you will really like. And I can't imagine anybody hearing this unless it was like their first album and thinking it was one of their best albums. And I could be wrong. There's probably plenty of people out there who's like, fuck you, man. That's my favorite Slipknot album.
That's
Fair
what happened
enough.
with me and Mastodon, so it has to be possible.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
usual trajectory, but yeah, I think most people who got on this ride got on at Hot Topic, and they got on in about 2007.
Well, this is a very Hot Topic appropriate cover. I will have to say. Yeah.
It is. They know their
So
art.
a lot of t-shirts with that,
Have you?
maybe the
Really?
full body on it this time.
Can I also say, and I haven't seen them in years, but I did see them, and they were fucking maniacs in a way that was not physically sustainable or psychologically sustainable. So I wonder what's going on there, because for them, like nearly all the bands we review, the live show is sort of is the thing, actually.
Yeah.
In many
No,
ways,
totally.
right?
It is
In
definitely.
terms of revenue, in terms of building a fan base, and just shit now more than ever in some ways, unless you're Five Finger Butt Punch and can get. It really wasn't that much money though when you all did the math. I'm like, that's really not much money for that many airplays.
I mean, but
It's
you got to think
stunning.
though, that's one song for them. It was like one song, 50 million plays.
Yeah, but when you
equaled
got
something like
68 people in the band and girlfriends,
$500,000. I mean,
your kids in
Well,
college.
that's also after the Spotify era. They hit platinum when there were still physical
Sure.
copies.
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Well, here we go. On this record itself, Unsainted, it has
There we have it. Okay.
174,000 plays, 174 million plays on Spotify.
Those are different numbers that you gave just a second ago.
I know.
By 3 orders of magnitude.
I misread it. It's
I was
174,000.
like 174,000. That's like how many listens like our podcast probably. No, it's
Yeah.
174
So here we go.
million sounds more plausible to me.
So here we go. Unsainted off this album brought the band total in $1,219 and $188.
Well, they have a lot more people in them than Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
And they also probably have a better contract as opposed to somebody who's bringing in 50,000 plays.
Wow. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what their contract is, and Spotify is not overly transparent in exactly
It's
what
not.
they pay out. They say it goes into a pool. That's probably approximate. And they still were selling physical copies. But I think David's right. I think for a lot, especially these big legacy bands like
Oh, yeah.
this, it is the touring and the merchandise and everything that goes along with it. It's kind of like we talked about when we talked about Iron Maiden. They're releasing an album to tour.
Totally.
And so,
So
but
that
yeah,
change, I think that change also changed their sound, their inability to sustain that physically, psychically. It's it's not quite Gore levels, but it's a huge drop off in intensity.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen them live in a long, long time. And the only thing that I really know is that Corey Taylor got into a feud with Machine Gun Kelly this year over rapping on his album or some shit, because Machine Gun Kelly was apparently mad that people were leaving his set at Lollapalooza and going to theirs, which I will add, as much as I may not like Slipknot, I would have done the same goddamn thing, but that's neither here nor there.
That is the beef that 2021 needed, obviously.
Yeah.
Talk about petty.
No, it's super petty. He's like, these 54-year-olds out here in masks, what are you doing? It's like, well, we're all owed now.
Well, I
Metal
remember,
itself is owed.
I think in the past couple of like weeks, there's been like 6 or 7 like rapper deaths, like just shot kind of thing. And somebody made a comment, it's like, being a rapper in 2021 is the second most deadly thing to do in the world besides getting COVID.
I was going to add, I don't know if you knew this, but in the last 21 months, 800,000 of us have died, and probably a third again as many. So it's a time of that. So I suspect this next album, and I know we can't go on that one track, and I know Tracy was the heaviest song on the album, and it might be,
If
but it
this
also might
record's any
not
indication.
be.
Yeah, who knows?
But so much has happened. I'm holding out because I know Gabe will just get off the ride entirely at that point. He's asked what 17 albums in a row from Slipknot. Like I need you to turn up the
no
dial.
more.
I need you to bring me. I need you to give me back that sweet Iowa.
Gabe wants the heavy. I have to give him
What's the
credit.
heavy?
Give me that heavy IV stat.
We later tonight he got some heavy, at least for recording later tonight.
Did he?
Indeed.
All right, well, let's talk about some tracks. I hope everyone has a drink poured because I didn't like any of them.
Weller,
I got that
down
high
that.
quality H2O.
Weller, why are you so expensive? Oh, why? No.
I guess I'll go first.
You mean second?
Yeah, second. I guess I'll name something first. Let's go with. So I like the lead single of this album, Unsainted. The intro on this album kind of sucks. Nero Forte, A Liar's Funeral, and Not Long for This World. So it's kind of mix and match. A couple songs that I'm like, and then a good song. A couple songs that's, then a good song.
Before anybody else goes, I want to say Tracy is right. Of a band that is this big and insists on doing these like weird little intro tracks, they have all been bullshit. They have the worst record of doing this of anybody.
I just skipped them. Even when they're not intros, Gabe's like, that's a real song, man. I'm like, not to me. I just like
Some of them are. This is definitely not.
yeah, this is
Definitely
bullshit. I agree. It's useless. And I like Ministry. So
Also, like, what's next? I'm waiting. It's just like, get
let's get on with
that
it.
shit out of here.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm with Team Tracy on some good, some extremely very okay. I think Unsainted is pretty good. Actual opener. Birth of the Cruel is fine. I like Nero Forte. I like Red Flag, which is a sort of an old school Slipknot song. I like Spiders. It's a weird ass song, but I think I like it. And Orphan's okay. I think it closes pretty well. I think Solway Firth is one of their better closers in a bit.
I mean,
so.
I think it's their best closer, but it's still not a good song.
You're not a good song. Shut up. Anyway, I think I said it was extremely okay, Tracy. I didn't. There's no hill to die on. I'm just like standing in a field with them. So extremely fine, everyone.
It is Iowa after all. So
Yeah, I think that's what my problem with this album is, that it's extremely fine, okay, not and like just mediocre. And there are a couple standout songs. I liked Unsainted. I thought Birth of the Cruel was okay, but also thought it could be heavier. I like Nero Forte until the chorus. Critical Darling I really liked. And Orphan I really liked. And Solway Firth I really liked. But everything else is just meh or nah. Like, so I think they could have used a few more like actually good songs on this record and fewer, intros.
I do think that a lot of the songs started out okay. David shouted out Spiders, and I thought, oh, wow, this is actually going to be a song I like. But then like halfway or 3/4 of the way through, they lost me. They lost the plot, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, the playing on it's fine. It's just I didn't think the songwriting was very good, even to the high levels of slightly okay. So
Extremely fine, okay.
Okay, so let's grade it.
I can go first. I'm gonna give it a B. I think it's okay. Was it? Yeah, a B. I think it's better than All Hope Is Gone. And a little bit better in Chapter 5. So yeah, B for me.
Well, I've already been on record saying I think it's the worst album, so it's an F.
I love it.
I said I had plenty more to give. I was not lying.
You weren't lying.
So is this like a 30F or a 55F? Like, we need some context on that.
It's a 57.
I'm going to balance that out some. I think it's a B plus, and that may be just brand loyalty. I think there's some good songs on there. I'm going to come in with what is no doubt the highest grade of any of you at a B plus.
Well, I'm going to call grade inflation on that and give this a a flat C 74. It doesn't deserve any more than that. It's by far the worst one that I heard of theirs so far.
You don't deserve any more of that. Man, what's the average of this, Tracy? Not
So that
great.
puts it at a 76. So
Ah,
if we get
Right.
Passing the class. Gabe's right there in the
let's
zone.
see. Just looking at it. So 76 on that one. I'm trying to look and see what all.
What, do you already have a thing that ranks how much we hate
I'm-
shit?
I'm trying to figure out how to our grade on it, like total was. I just gotta find what the first one we gave.
And then it goes to another spreadsheet that goes to a third spreadsheet that tells you how much Ben hates shit.
Tracy, the
Essentially,
pivot table, Newport over there. So
yeah.
It's an
You're-
algorithm that predicts how many more Ben, how many more
How many
Fs
more
Ben is
Fs?
gonna
we're running out of years, so there can't be that many.
do.
Then I get a new box on the first.
For
I can tell him-
us,
Yeah.
it looks like this one is the worst one overall. We graded it at a 76.
Ever of any shit.
This is the worst one overall grade for us. Chapter 5 came in at a 77.
So just the Slipknot albums.
Yeah, just Slipknot albums.
Where did the Apocalyptic Writer come in?
No, this is just Slipknot.
Oh my god! I'm like, how is that possible?
Yeah, what about Perksta?
I
No,
don't
I'm
think
just
we were
doing-
doing the aggregated gradings for the Apocalypse.
I know. I'm just ranking aggregate ratings for Slipknot, and if we were to rank them in a 1 to 6 as a group, it would be the worst one would be this one here. We Are Not Your Kind. Then Chapter 5, and
That's not a
then
surprise.
the next one, it's a tie. So you have a 3A, 3B in Iowa, and All Hope Is Gone. Then the next one is, and this is without Gabe, the self-titled. I don't think he was on that one. And then the highest award rated overall was Volume 3, which that was probably some great inflation on mine and David's part.
You're welcome.
Well, all right. So what are we doing next time, Tracy?
Next, we are doing bins. You might have missed it for the year 2021, and Frontline Simply Mechanical Soul.
Yes. So looking forward to that. When you talk about a prolific band, well, you're about to see. But before we get out of here, I want to say that this is going to be released on New Year's Day. So happy 2022. Hopefully it's better than 2021. And I hope you had a joyous holiday season. Thanks for supporting us.
Indeed.
Come back and see us 2022.
Well, if they're listening to this, they are. So
They've already done so. Keep doing
It's
that.
too late. It's too late.
It's too late.
yes. So thank you for listening to Thunderdome Metal Reviews.